Episode 153. I believe achieving success in the outdoor biz is dependent upon embracing the outdoor lifestyle and learning from outdoor leaders that came before you. If you agree, then listen up for tips, advice, and hacks about growing or starting your career in the outdoor biz. My name is Rick Sayes. Welcome to the Outdoor Biz Podcast. I'm looking forward to this episode with Todd Finney, founder and proprietor of Wolfgang Man and Beast. But first, if you're thinking about starting your own podcast for your brand or passion project, I've created a free cheat sheet outlining 6 fundamental steps for building and starting your podcast. It has everything you need to know about planning, building, and launching. Head over to ricksayes.com and download this free resource today. Great conversation with Todd Finney today. Todd tells us how he got into skateboarding and surfing, his first experience on a cutting room floor, and we spent a bit of time talking about what it was like to start the brand Clive and much, much more. Enjoy. Hey, Todd, welcome to the show.
Hi, Rick. How are you today?
I'm great. How you doing today?
Not bad, thanks. It's a beautiful day here in Utah.
Yeah, it looked like it. You sent me a photo this morning. How much snow do you guys have? A lot?
A lot. I mean, at my house, we have probably about a foot left. It's melting down, but I'm on the dry side of the valley.
Got you.
So I'm in the Heber Valley. I look west towards Timpanogos, and I can see the backside of Snowbird, Alta, Park City, Deer Valley, all that.
Right.
And they have a lot of snow up there.
Wow, that's cool. Well, that's good.
A lot more than we have.
Yeah. We have, Mammoth's got a ton. I'm down here in Bishop, there's hardly anything, but Mammoth obviously has a ton, so.
Yeah, I saw you guys have been getting blasted out there. It's awesome.
Yeah, big time, yeah. So what was your first exposure to the outdoors, snowboarding, skateboarding, all that stuff? How'd you get into it?
Well, when I was a kid, I lived in the city of Orange in Orange County, and back then it was still orange groves.
Oh, right.
So yeah. We were outside all the time. And after my first school football game, when I got basically left out of the game too much, I decided I wasn't into the team sports thing.
Yeah.
So I started skateboarding, building skateboard ramps and skating pools around that were near my house. And those were the pretty golden era of skateboarding. It was really fun.
Right.
And then I moved to San Diego when I was 13. Up to that point, we had done like campground camping and, that kind of, we had a camper. We'd go to Mexico.
Oh, cool.
Had a lot of fun with the family and motorcycles and hiking and all that stuff. And then,
right.
I started surfing when I was 13, and I lived right by Del Mar Skate Ranch. So,
oh, cool.
It's maybe not outdoors like traditional outdoors.
Yeah, but I think outdoors. Outdoors has morphed over the years. Same thing when I was a kid. It was much more separated, but I think now outdoors encompasses so many things, which I think is a good thing. I think it's great for all the industries, and we don't need to pigeonhole ourselves anymore, because a lot of us, we do a lot of different stuff, right? Like you. I mean, I do all kinds of things outdoors. Yeah,
I would still get after it a lot. It just, when you get into your 50s and you start slamming on pavement, it really sucks.
Yeah, and it brings back all the other injuries that you did when you were 10 or 12.
Yeah, that's right. Now it's a lot of snowboarding, and mountain biking in the summer, which is not no impact. I mean, I pretty much always fall when I'm riding my bike.
Nice.
And then, I just still get after it.
Cool.
Quite a bit.
What was your first outdoor job, or did you have a first outdoor / action sport skate job, something?
Well, that's a funny one too. So, I got out of high school in '84, and I messed around a little bit. Went on a surf trip to Mexico with my friends, of course, and then I got back from that and sort of realized I was going to have to do something, and I told my mom, I'm going to go down to Eagle Creek and get a job. So I went down there on Cedros in Solana Beach, which was halfway between my house and the beach.
Nice.
It's pretty awesome. And I skateboarded by it every single day when I'd go surfing.
Wow.
And so I just went down there and got a job. Just got hired, and then
I didn't know you worked there back then.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm a creeker from way back.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, I was in the cutting department. And
got you.
And what was cool about that is the guys that I worked with, Jim Alisi and Bill Billing, they were these guys were pioneering snowboarders.
Jim Alisi, yeah, I forgot that name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those guys got me snowboarding that first year, and it's been going ever since. We would go out, and we were friends with Sonny Miller, and we would go out and shoot a bunch of photos, and we were getting, there was some sort of snowboard zines at that time, but there were no real magazines yet.
Right.
But we'd get shots in Skateboarding magazine or Powder magazine and these different things where they're like, hey, look at these freaks.
Right.
But that was pretty fun.
That's awesome. And did you ever work retail or any of that kind of stuff in the outdoor action sports?
Nope. No retail. So I went from Eagle Creek, gave me that great sort of, I didn't go to college, so it was school of hard knocks right off the bat. I worked in the factory for, 4 years or something.
Wow.
Then I kind of went around snowboarding. We got sponsored, and I never made a dime off snowboarding, but I got free lift tickets and equipment and all that. So that was super fun.
Yeah.
And went to Tahoe for a season, and that was great. And then
very cool. So how'd you get into? You worked in the cutting floor. That probably inspired you to get into design. But how'd you actually get into design and product development?
Well, it's sort of natural progression. So I got hired by Airwalk as a consultant when they started doing snowboard boots. Okay. And that was in the late 80s. I don't remember exactly what year, maybe 90, something like that. Right. Whatever the first year they were making snowboard boots. And so they came out with their medieval torture devices. And
yeah, all that stuff was, even the ski boots back then. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My feet I still have tendonitis in one of my feet from that. But anyway, so that was, again, I don't know what year that was, but in 93, I got hired by Airwalk to come in and do product development on snowboard boots and hit the ground running. I think I was there a couple days, and they said, okay, now go to Italy and make the lightest snowboard boot ever made.
Oh, cool. Right on.
So that was
your
fun.
Your first industry job also was Airwalk?
Yeah.
Other than Eagle Creek, obviously, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was the first one where I had, sort of some autonomy and was able to make decisions, because I would pretty much get line drawings for the outside of the boot, but everything having to do with fit and heel retention and all that stuff was up to me. And
make it up on the fly, right?
Yeah. So I spent, probably 9 months a year in factories between Italy and Asia, Korea, China, Taiwan.
Yeah.
So
that's a good that's a good way to learn it. Just having to do it. There's nothing like on the job training.
It was.
Right? Yeah.
It was really good. The rule about spending 10,000 hours doing anything.
Right.
I spent 10,000 hours just on airplanes. But but then
we all have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So then there weren't a lot of standardized things having to do with snowboard boots at that time.
Yeah, right. We were making it up. Yeah.
We were building lasts, and there's a lot of funny things about it, but I remember there was a last maker in Italy, and I was designing this last with him, and he said, "Oh, you can't do this." Of course, it was all in Italian, and I had a translator, but you can't do this. And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "It doesn't look like a last." And I said, "Yeah, I know. It looks like a foot. I think that's the idea." So anyway, instead of making, Italian dress snowboard boots, we made snowboard boots that actually fit your foot. It's pretty fun.
But you couldn't go dancing in them.
No, it didn't look that great, but.
Right. And so how long were you doing that before you joined Eagle Creek and Clive? Did you have some other industry jobs before that?
Yeah. So, my resume's long, but it's 35 years now. So I guess that's fair.
Same here.
But I, after Airwalk, there's a famous book, Tipping Point.
Yeah.
It tipped both ways. And, as the wheels were kind of starting to come off of Airwalk, and, the writing was on the wall. So I was being recruited by Solomon to come out to the Solomon Design Center in Boulder when they launched that. And we were charged with doing advanced concepts for all the Solomon brands at that time.
Cool.
They owned Mavic wheels and TaylorMade and whatever else.
Yeah, a lot of stuff then. Yeah.
Yeah, so we did a lot of stuff there, and that was really fun. Great team. And then I had seen Steve Barker at ISPO in Munich, and he said, "Hey, we were thinking about doing a youth brand at some point." And I go, "Oh, that's cool. Whatever." I was so busy, I didn't have time to think about it. And then I got a call from another friend of mine, Tim Swart, who I'd worked with at Airwalk. And he said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing a backpack brand." I said, "Okay, you should talk to Steve because Steve wants to do it." And, I obviously at that point, I already had a 15, 20 year relationship with Steve. I'd known him a long time already.
Right. Yeah. Right. And this was probably
that was 98 that they started talking about it. We officially started working on it in 99.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was launched in September of 99. I only remember that because it was 9/9/99 was the day we launched.
Oh, wow. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So that was the start of Clive. And it was really Tim's concept along with Steve's, desire to do something in that space. And they called me up and just said, "Hey, do you want to come out here and do the product for this?" And I thought, "Hey, this is a great opportunity, great team back in San Diego." And so,
back home. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was it like starting an action sport brand at a travel company?
It was a lot like pushing a rope in some ways.
Okay.
It was good. I mean, Steve and Rick and everyone was amazing. They, like any great leader, they knew what they didn't know. I mean, they knew that they didn't know it all, is how I should put that. And, we were somewhere in between because we weren't kids, but we knew we'd been making product for kids for a long time.
Yeah, And in that space, right? You knew that space better than anybody.
We'd been in that action sports space. We all grew up in it, obviously, but then we'd been making product in that space for a long time. And so it was really not that big of a stretch in terms of the branding play, although, Tim has a very unique outlook on branding. And so combine that with what I think I have a unique outlook on product. And I think we came in and we really changed the backpack space for the better.
Yeah, you had some pretty cool stuff. Yeah, and those were pretty heady. Those were pretty heady times at Eagle Creek too. I mean, Eagle Creek was rocking and rolling at that point.
Oh, it was ripping. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
I remember some friends at Dakine saying, "Dude, what are you doing? You're coming in and coming after. You're going to come steal our cheese." And I go, "No, this is going to grow the category because now instead of just a thumbs up, thumbs down decision on a Dakine bag or a Burton bag or whatever it might be, now you're engaging that customer and they have to choose which bag they're going to get. Right. It's not just if they're going to get a bag, but they have to get one of them."
Yeah.
And sure enough, it raised the bar on them on design and it also just brought a lot of focus to the category. So it grew.
Awesome. So what were a couple of early wins? Product wise, or just getting
for Clive?
For Clive, getting it off the ground, or product wise.
I don't remember any specific products that were like, okay, this is the one that's really getting off the ground, because honestly, the whole time we were like missionaries out there.
Yeah, you guys were head down getting after it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it was, the space was pretty commoditized, and we're in there doing something pretty different, and so. It never got that big while I was there. It was growing steadily, and I think it was really starting to get traction when I ended up leaving, and Tim left too. But
what were some of the challenges? Was just being new to the space, trying to get everybody convinced that this is where it's at, or?
Well, yeah, and it's always hard. The funny thing is, you would think a brand based in San Diego that has Rob Machado and Todd Richards and some of the top skateboarders, snowboarders in the world, and you think it'd be like a no-brainer. But even in San Diego, I mean, the codes are really tight in the sort of design codes are really tight in that space.
Yep.
And so I think it was a case of people kind of going, well, should I like this? I'm not sure, because it was very different.
Yeah.
But and if you're selling skateboard decks, the codes are so tight. I mean, if you're outside of them by half an inch, you're outside.
Right,
and so you're playing with that customer, and they're pretty they're actually pretty conservative in terms of design and stuff. So it was a little wild, but in the end, it started to really take hold, and it was good. What happened to Clive was 2001, the attacks.
Yeah, 2009, 9/11. That's the same thing. Kind of hammered everybody. I had just joined Dana Design like a week before, and just everything just got crushed. Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, and I remember them saying, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I remember Eagle Creek saying, well, all of our orders have been canceled. I mean, in essence. And so, we were like the crazy stepson.
Yeah, the redheaded stepchild. What are those guys doing downstairs?
Exactly. So, I think they had to pump the brakes a little bit, and it just was a little bit. It was a scary time, a scary time to be an American, actually. So, and at the same time, I was getting recruited by Quicksilver. So, it just was a time for a move.
Yeah. So you moved on and did a few years Quicksilver and some other places. And then about 4 or 5 years later, you started Wolfgang, give or take?
Well, we did. Okay. So I went to Quicksilver, went to Nixon, did some great stuff at Nixon. That was fun. And then, I got hired by Skull Candy to head up product design and development. I was in terms of like physical industrial design, and we did some great things there. And that's what got me to Utah. And then, fast forward a few years, we were on to other things. And, who is now my business partner, Jeremy, called me up and said, I was trying to find some cool stuff for my dog, and I couldn't really find anything I liked. And then I started thinking, well, what would I do if I were designing it? And of course, we were starting to see Stant socks get some traction, and we weren't the only ones thinking, what's the other Stant socks that could be done? And so we started thinking about doing this dog brand. And full credit where credit is due. It was Jeremy's idea, but one of my strengths is sort of maximizing an idea. So I saw a lot of potential. I know the pet market has crazy enthusiasts, and people spend, I knew there's a trend.
Thousands on their animals.
Thousands. People spending way too much money on their dogs, but also
I think my sister's little dog has a jacket collection that rivals mine. It's impressive.
But people aren't having as many kids either, and they're spending that money on their dogs. And so we saw a gap, and we went for it. Nice. And the biggest challenge wasn't whether we could do the product or get the brand ambassadors or do it in our way and put our stamp on it. Really, the only thing out of all of that we hadn't done before was actually run a business by ourselves.
Okay.
And so we knew that was going to be the challenge, which it is. It's really hard.
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah. Did you have anybody that helped you? Did you hire some people that knew what to do and helped you, or did you just figure it out and learn on your own? Made it up as you go, huh? Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
MSU. As Steve says, MSU. Nothing wrong with that.
We have great advisors too, like Steve, and got to get advice from people like Beaver from Prana and. Jeremy Andrus, who owns Traeger Grills, he was the CEO up at Skull Candy when I left there, and then he bought Traeger Grills and has blown that thing up. So we have really great advisors, and then another is in the pet space is Joe Markham, who's just this really amazing guy. He's the guy that launched Kong dog toys, the ones that look like they look like CV boots, and he launched that 50 years ago.
Wow.
If you can believe that.
Wow, that's crazy. Jeez.
So that's some great knowledge there. And he's just been a great friend to us and advisor along the way. So we had advice, and we just decided we're just going to do everything we can to do it ourselves.
So what are some of the other learnings you had from starting your own brand in addition to just running the business? Then you had to do all the marketing and, everything. What was? Yeah,
the marketing and I'm not a marketing guy, but in my team, between myself and my team, marketing and sort of brand positioning, graphics, that's all in our wheelhouse. We do that stuff in our sleep. That stuff's pretty easy for us, just because that's where our strengths lie. But as far as, sort of day to day, looking at bank accounts and trying to figure out, how much revenue is coming in 3 months. I mean, that stuff is just like, that's like witch doctor stuff to me. So,
yeah.
I mean, I've had to do it, but I always had help. I mean, even at Clive, or, Clive was this tiny brand that had this huge company behind, not huge, but, every bit of support we needed.
Yeah. Right. All the bases were covered. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's how, it was when I was at Quicksilver. I ran the accessories division there. I mean, that was like a $30 million business, and I had to run the budget and everything, but I didn't have to design the budget tool.
Right.
And
all that stuff was in place. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So,
and even some of the production stuff too, that was all, you probably had your hands on a lot of it, but once it gets to a certain size, the game changes. Yeah, exactly.
And I handle production, but I don't really like production. Yeah. I like making the donut recipe. I don't like making the donuts. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's a great way to put it. Exactly. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And so, tell everybody about Wolfgang a little bit, in case they don't know. Wolfgang, Man and Beast.
Yeah, Wolfgang, Man and Beast. So again, I told you about how the brand concept came, but really from the beginning, what we thought was the gap was, the way people shop now is they really curate everything that they wear, and whether, shoes, socks, pants, underwear, belt, wallet, t-shirt, jacket, hat, glasses, everything is chosen carefully. And then they just go buy a strap for their dog. And we thought that was just, we just thought that was stupid. So
here's a piece of webbing to put around your neck so I can hold on to you. Yeah,
exactly. So we decided we wanted to make it more tied together with what you'd buy for yourself and what you'd buy for your dog. And so the obvious way to do that was to make products for both the person and the dog. That's why it's called Man and Beast. And so, we just set out to design. It's mostly based on, cool graphics, but we do some great leather stuff. And we also wanted to be really genuine about whatever kind of low impact or, conservation minded approach. I know you can make webbing out of recycled milk bottles, but is it really, I don't know. I'm not that kind of analyst. Does it really save anything, or does it just use more energy than making it really good from really good polyester, which lasts a long time? So
it doesn't wear out, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and then we wanted to source everything in the U.S. as much as possible. And so we found a manufacturing partner in the U.S., and they're really amazing. And they didn't know what the heck we were talking about when we first rolled in. They're like, okay, we don't know. They didn't really, it was like we came in with, 3-armed t-shirts on or something. It was really, exactly. They're like, who are you guys? And we,
are they local to Salt Lake, or where in the U.S. are they?
No, they're in the Midwest.
Okay. Got you.
And we were, recommended that, or they were recommended to us by Joe Markham from Kong, and struck up a conversation with them, had great conversation. They knew that this, I'm using air quotes, millennial customer was the fastest growing demographic in the pet space. And they knew that they didn't know how to make something for them. So they saw it as sort of a shortcut, or not shortcut, but a fast track to having that customer in their mix. And so they gave us a try, and they're not regretting it now. They're pretty happy, and we have a great partnership. It's been fun.
That's very cool. And so, tell us about any nonprofit work you guys do. You must support some nonprofit groups in the space.
Sure. We do a lot of stuff with, different rescues. We're not like aligned with any permanently, but we do different things. So we have a project, like we did a collaboration with Giro they did a helmet and goggle, and we did a matching leash and collar. And
cool.
We're doing a portion of proceeds go to a mountain rescue dog program that's based in the Rockies. And so I think it's called Rocky Mountain Rescue Dogs.
Cool.
We've done another one that's called Canines with a Cause. and it's a really interesting program. They rescue a dog from a kill shelter.
Oh, wow.
They give it to a prison inmate.
Wow.
I mean, with careful selection. They have this program, and these female prison inmates train the dog for 2 years, and then they gift the dog to a returned veteran with PTSD.
Cool. Awesome.
And the what is it called? The Vets Administration. They don't.
The VA, yeah.
The VA. They don't give funding for PTSD dogs. They don't recognize it as critical for some reason. And so this program gives essentially is a $40,000 dog. They give it to the vet, and it changes their lives.
That's awesome. Well,
it saves the dog.
Yeah, saves the dog and saves the vet. I mean, that's awesome.
Well, and then there's the prisoner.
Oh, right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Has this companion, and it does change them also. And it's kind of a win-win-win, and it's a really interesting concept, and we like it. We've given stuff to them, and that's been a cool one too. So yeah, we do stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll link to both of those groups in the show notes. That's great. Yeah.
Okay.
So you still mountain bike, still snowboard, get on a skateboard at all still?
I do, because I got to get out there for my kid, and I do my very best not to slam. A few years ago, I slammed and I cracked some ribs, and man, it was so brutal. Yeah. It was brutal.
Yeah.
But we have a little cement park here in town, and it's fun. I still like to skateboard. I've never been very good at it, but I just like it.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Cool. Yeah. Any other outdoor stuff that you do?
Yeah. So the one that we've been doing the most of over the last few years is overlanding. So we have a Toyota 4Runner. It just ticked over 250,000 miles, but we've got a rooftop tent and all the camping gear, and we get out there, and we're here in Utah where
lots
best
of
postcards
over in Utah. Yeah.
There's the 10 out of 10 spots like Arches and Zions and all that stuff, but those places are crowded.
Yeah.
But the 9 out of 10 spots like Bears Ears or San Rafael Swell, these different places are basically
a lot of
empty.
Stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff down there near Kanab. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible. We get out there, and that's what we've been doing. We call it dirt camping, just getting out there in dirt. And
I like it. Yeah.
It's so much fun. It's just, I used to fly over those places. I always sit at the window on a plane, and I remember always looking out and seeing these dirt roads and thinking, who owns that, and how do you get there?
Yeah, exactly.
I never knew that you could just drive on it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, you've all probably been on the other side of Lake Powell too, right? The backside of Lake Powell. There's some great stuff out there. Yeah.
Well, down south of there is Bears Ears.
Yeah.
It's amazing down there.
Awesome.
So
that's very cool. Do you have any suggestions or advice for folks wanting to get into the biz, outdoor biz, action sports, or grow their career if they're already in the biz?
Yeah, so I think, I think about what Mike Rowe said. He said, Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs, he said, just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean you don't suck at it. So,
it's true.
Yeah. There's follow your passion, but if you suck at it, don't follow it for a career.
Yeah, find another passion, right? That's good advice.
But if you happen to have passion and you're good at it, then you can do something with it, which is great. Yeah. The crossroads I see people come to, I've mentored some people over the years, and the crossroads I always see them come to is the marketing versus product crossroads. Are they going to be a marketer, or are they going to be a product developer? Yeah. And those two paths lead to different places, and both can lead to owning a company, but
both can lead really to very great careers, but they're very different. Sometimes when you get into one or the other, you realize that there's other things involved that you had no idea, and you end up doing something, like you say, that's like, well, this kind of sucks, but it has to be done, right?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
So that's one of the crossroads I see people come to, and but I guess my main thing is, of course, as a guy who didn't go to college, maybe I'm limited on how far I'm ever going to go.
I don't think so.
We'll find out, I guess. But I wouldn't let that concern you if you're good at something, you know.
Exactly. I agree. Yeah.
I have a creative mind, and I like to, I always say I like to go 90 degrees to the direction of everybody else, and just end up like way over there, you know, and people are like, wait, why is that guy over there? You know, that's my approach. And I don't know if that's the approach for everybody. I mean, people make a lot of money making kind of regular products and stuff, but
well, and college, you know, the traditional path isn't for everyone. And the beauty today, I think, versus, you know, when I was a kid, is there's just so many other options to not go to college. I mean, sure, you can go to college, but there's other ways to learn and to do and experience and have careers. I think it's just wide open these days. So that's cool.
For sure.
Yeah.
So as far as advice, I'd just say, you know, go for it, especially if you're good at something, and build on your strengths. If you have some strengths, build on those things and make them your unique selling proposition, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's good. Do you have any daily routines you use to keep your sanity? You meditate, you must, you know, walk the dog, skateboard with your kid.
You know, I got to be honest. I don't do that much on a daily basis that is like that.
No routine. Maybe
as far
that's
as your
daily routine is no routine. I like it.
Yeah. As far as the dogs, we have 6 acres, so I kind of just get them out there running around. And in the winter, they can go out and chase deer and run around by themselves. But in the summer, I don't have to. In the summer, it's more like we go out and play with them and, you know, get them running around. But, yeah, it's definitely my worst shortcoming is I don't exercise the way I should and whatever else.
Hey,
but
you know, we all do what we do. No worries. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not blown up yet, so I guess I'm okay, but I still can snowboard pretty well, but
there you go.
Yeah, I don't have, my routine is really about work and family. I spend a lot of time with the family.
That's great. That's a good routine.
That's
great.
Yeah. I try to work at home on Fridays, and we homeschool our kids. So there's a lot of engagement with our kids and stuff. And,
cool.
And of course, you know, my wife, and so I engage with everything that's going on at home quite a bit. And that's my greatest,
that's a great
greatest
routine.
joy.
That's a great routine. More people need to spend more family time. Yeah. Do you have any favorite books, or do you give books as gifts very often?
Well, of course, as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they'll say the Book of Mormon.
Okay.
It's inspirational and a lot of guidance in that. You know, one of the things I like to do is sort of read opposites so I can get both sides of things. And like reading Atlas Shrugged and then read the Communist Manifesto as a couple of examples.
Right.
And it really gives you an interesting perspective. And so honestly, I would recommend the Communist Manifesto. I'm not an advocate of it. I'm an advocate of capitalism, but I think understanding that the opponent is helpful.
Very. I like that. Very. Yeah. I think reading the opponent is great.
And then there's one that's pretty cliche, a business book, but it I'll tell you, it helped me a lot, was Strengths Finder. And I know
that's
it's
a good one. Yeah.
People read it, they do it, but when that thing spit out my 5 strengths, I realized, you know what? I don't have to be great at Excel sheets. I don't need to go to a class for, you know.
It's kind of an eye opener, isn't it?
Oh, it changed everything for me, because I was actually consulting for Monster, the headphone company. We were making Beats by Dre headphones at that time, and they made me read that book when I joined them, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And it spit out my strengths, and I thought, hey, that's me. It was really accurate, actually.
Nailed it. Yeah.
And I don't need to worry about being all those other things. I can just be really good at the things that I'm good at, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good one. We'll list those in the show notes too. Okay. So you're an overlander. What's your favorite piece of overland gear under $100, or outdoor gear, or whatever?
So that's easy.
Oh, okay.
Well, Lucy lamp. And the head, and I have Mountain Hardwear headlamps. I mean, I can't think of anything that's changed camping and being outdoors more than those headlamps.
Okay.
I just find them so.
Mountain Hardwear headlamps?
Or not Mountain Hardwear. Sorry, Black Diamond.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, I got a Black Diamond one, and it's so awesome. It's just wherever you look, there's light. I mean, it's such a great thing.
Yeah, I have one of those.
And you know, we we used to, when I was a kid, we'd mess with those lanterns. It's like, don't touch the lantern. You'll burn down the whole, county.
Exactly. Or you remember, did you ever use those candle lanterns? Those were camping. They had a little candle in them. Those were tricky.
I don't remember the candles. I remember the one with the mantle that if you touched it, it turned to dust.
Exactly.
And, oh
Boom,
my gosh.
done.
So,
can't see. Yeah.
And it's just hissing the whole time. And you're just thinking, this thing's basically a bomb.
Exactly. Don't try to relight it. You'll blow everything up.
Exactly. So a headlamp just changes everything. And I love those little Lucy lamps. They're so easy. Such a great thing. And I know those guys talk about doing work for, to help people. They send those out.
They do all kinds of things. Yeah, John was on the show way back. Gosh, one of the early shows. Great episode. But yeah, they do great things. I mean, they literally move their inventory around the world if there's been a disaster. It's amazing.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's so, think about life without light and it's just terrible. And so it just changes everything. So and then the other thing I'd say, and this is because I had a fall a couple of years ago. I was in Canyonlands at this place called Dollhouse, which is like you check in to get to this campground. You check in at a ranger station and you drive 8.5 hours.
Wow.
It's 34 miles.
Very cool. Very cool.
So it's very, very remote.
Yeah.
It's hard to get to. And I fell off this rock. And right then I thought, I'm going to get my ham radio license and get a ham radio because there's no phone signal out there. And if you needed a helicopter from Moab, you could reach out with that radio and get help. And you're out there where you're on your own, man. Yeah. It's remote.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So you can get a ham radio for around $100 and get into it. But you got to pass the license test too. So
or you could spend more money and get a satellite phone.
Yeah, there's that too. I know. That's what my friend said to me. He's like, "Why don't you just get a sat phone?" I go, "Well, so I have a ham radio."
Well, a ham radio is kind of a fun thing to play with. I had a buddy of mine in high school who was a big CB ham radio guy, all that stuff. Yeah, it's crazy.
Hey, it's straight redneck. I get it. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, that's cool. As we wrap up here, is there anything else you want to ask of our listeners or say to our listeners?
Something I learned from Steve and Beaver and a lot of other good people I've worked with over the years, because I've worked with some real jerks and I've worked with some great people. And what I realized early on especially with Steve and Beaver. So I worked for Steve and I was sponsored by Beaver. He had his company Life's a Beach and we were snowboarding for them. And those guys were just always cool to everybody. Yeah. Really, really nice to people, treated them normal. They weren't ever big shots. And to me, that goes a long way. So I always just decided I want to be like that. I don't want to be I don't care how rich I could get by being a jerk. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, that's good advice. I don't know that those guys get any richer, but yeah, I think we're all humans. We're all put our pants on the same way. Why not be nice to one another? I like it. Yeah.
And yeah, those guys have been an inspiration throughout the years. I got a lot of other friends who, I wouldn't call them mentors, but a lot of peers like, Tim Swart and Chris Sanders that started Avalanche Snowboards and Ken Block and these different people who done a lot of great things in this world. And
that's the beauty of all these industries. It's just like a big tribe and everybody's been willing to help each other and become one big job. Yeah. Now, that's the beauty of, the trade shows and working in some of these places. You make friends for life. It's great.
Yeah, as long as you're not a jerk.
That's right. So where can people find you if they want to follow up? Your email or LinkedIn, or what's the best way to reach out?
I'm on LinkedIn.
We'll link to that.
Todd Finney, and then on emails, people can find me. It depends on if they want to talk to me about Wolfgang or other things. I've done a lot of consulting, and I have a consultancy called The Idea Hamster. People chuck me in the wheel and I start running and ideas start coming out. So nice. There's Todd at theideahamster.com or at Wolfgang, it's Todd F at wolfgangusa.com.
All right, cool. Well, we'll link to all that and people can follow up if they have any questions. Well, it's been great chatting with you, Todd. Kind of reminiscent of a couple years we worked together there back in the day. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great talking to you too.
Yeah, and I'll see you at OR in the summer, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
All right, man. Have a good day.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.
If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com where you find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. Until next time, be sure to make time to get outside.